Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome to the Networking RX podcast. I'm your host, Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Today, I have another great guest on. As our ongoing subscribers know, often on this podcast, it's just me sharing ideas, insights, and best practices for building professional relationships and excelling at business networking. Occasionally, however, I will be bringing on subject matter experts, authors, speakers, thought leaders, social scientists, and these people share their knowledge to help us build these relationships and understand really why they work. Today I have on the program BJ Stevens, and BJ is BJ's coming to us from Iowa. You refer to yourself as the Dinosaur. People refer to you as the Dinosaur, and I guess you also go by Lady BJ. And you're the founder of Goosebump Moments. So you want to kind of give us the lowdown on BJ?
Well, BJ is a dinosaur. I'm getting ready to celebrate my 69th birthday, but I have been in the sales, marketing, coaching, teaching / career since I was 14. And it's one of those things that even though I have traveled from this career to this career to this career, it all has stayed mostly around what I have done. And there's an old adage that says if you don't like what you do, you move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved what I've done. I wouldn't have stayed in the business this long if I didn't. So but for me, it's all about the people.
Right.
When I started at 14, I was selling Christmas cards door to door. And even though I lived in a very small town, and in those days, you always knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, the 6 degrees of connection there. It was still fun to be able to meet these people and learn their story and learn their backgrounds. And then as I got into direct sales later on, it became even more of a challenge. And it wasn't for me. I never have been pursuing the money. It was always about the people. I just wanted to hear more and more of them. Most of what I have done in the sales marketing arena have been part-time. Mm-hmm. I have also worked full-time jobs in all kinds of genres. I have been in retail. I've been in manufacturing. I worked on a gaming boat for a while. I was a cop. I was a nurse for 25 years, and I was a trainer recruiter for an insurance company. So I've got an eclectic background. I also have 3 college degrees, so that has helped me into areas like executive management, HR, things like that on a higher management level. And throughout my life, I have been so blessed throughout my career by actually not just working with, but meeting some of the legends and the giants in the industry, such as Zig Ziglar. That man fascinated me to no end. This very tiny little demure man with this big baritone Southern voice. I loved listening to him. Then from him, I was introduced to Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn, still to this day, God rest his soul, holds a very special place in my heart because I always saw him as that grandfather that just took you to the side, put you on the sofa, covered you up in a blanket, and just talked to you about life with the ease and the soft, gentle tone that he had. And then I was very blessed to be invited to a training by Les Brown. Les Brown is the one who invited me personally. And I spent 4 days of intensive training in a small hand-selected group of about 40 people. That left me speechless. And anybody who knows me knows that I am known as the prolific talker. And then within a couple of years, I also got involved with the John Maxwell group.
Yeah.
And become a member of John Maxwell's training group and learned a lot in there as well. So when you take all of that background and you mold it in, it truly did mold me. I mean, it truly gave me a sense of what I wanted to do, the direction I wanted to go, my purpose and what it was I wanted to go after. I became a public speaker. I've been public speaking going on 30 years now. And because of the pandemic, I now have done that globally. So I've spoken in South Africa, in India, in Germany, and France. So I have, and Australia. I have, so that's given me a lot of things. And in fact, I'm doing a women empowerment program here next week that I'm very proud to be a part of. So that's kind of my background, my business, my professional background.
Right.
Don't even begin to talk to me about my personal background, because that is voluminous and a whole story in and of itself. So
now, what is Goosebump Moments?
That's my coaching program.
Okay.
I focus on it's kind of a mixture. It's a blend, actually, of self-awareness and personal development. Because in the marketing and sales arena, one of the biggest things that all these gurus and coaches out there tell you got to have a brand story, you got to have this, you got to have that, and they want you to do affirmations, like I am strong, or I am confident. And I get the reason behind those affirmations. The problem is these people who try and teach you that don't go far enough, because there isn't one person on this planet that doesn't see themselves as kind, giving, sharing, good, loving. And if that's the kind of affirmation you give yourself, then you're not unique. You don't stand out.
Right.
The whole thing of an affirmation is to understand who you are. So that is the basis around my Goosebump Moments. My little slogan, my little tagline is, I help you find your magic and your dynamicity. Because it's more like, I'm gregarious. I want to know why. Why are you gregarious? Explain it to me. Be more specific about why you are that. And then let's expound upon that and tell me why you feel you're gregarious. I'm overwhelmingly gregarious. Why? Because, and then follow that up with the because now you're justifying that feeling. So it's somewhat of an intense thing. Plus, in that training, I teach you how to speak in a more confident and a more pleasant and a more capable manner. If you spend any time networking, I'm sure you've seen these people who get on these calls and they will say, hi, I'm Joe, I'm an accountant, I can help you with your quarterly income tax, I can help you with your returns. There's no love, there's no excitement, there's no enthusiasm. And I always say, is that the person you want to do business with? You want somebody who's invigorating and challenging and loves what they do.
Right.
That's what I teach. And it's, believe it or not, it's not that easy for people to see themselves in that manner. So that's what I teach. That's the whole purpose and principle behind Goosebump Moments.
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, it's important how we show up. The other thing, I guess the reason we were connected was you're the U.S. ambassador for your partnerships, networking your way. And I wanted to have a conversation around that. It's networking. There we go. Yeah.
Business, and I'm gonna be very frank here to your audience, and I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, but if you are of the mind that you're still doing business that you did 3 years ago, you're wrong. You need to reevaluate and stand back and take a look at what you're doing. Business is not being done in the same manner it was 3 years ago. And I don't care if you're a brick and mortar business, and I really don't care if you're an online business. And I really don't care if you had a major success or whether you're a brand new entrepreneur, just you lost a job and you're trying to step out on your own and get your wings. You need to learn. There is a proper way to network, and there is some etiquette about networking. And don't just jump into all these networking groups that have just proliferated over these last 2 years. Everybody wants to set up a networking group. Be selective, seriously, because most of them are promotional. Yeah. Some of them are very egotistical. Some of them don't generate the whole reason behind networking. Networking isn't about business to business. Business to business is the end outcome of after you have actually set up a proper connectivity, a proper learning about that person and individual. Business to business comes at the end. But there is also kind of a warning about that as well, because as I said, you don't want to jump into these groups. Most of them will charge you an arm and a leg to join their networking group. Pardon me. And I always caution people, if you're going to spend that money, make sure that you get that ROI, that return of your investment, is coming back to you. So if, for instance, if you're joining a networking group and they're charging you $300, $500 a year to belong, make sure that you are getting $300 to $500 worth of business at the end of that year. Otherwise, that networking isn't valuable.
Right.
So your partnerships began in Cornwall about 4 years ago, actually. And it started just in a local little county, Cornwall, over there. And in 2 years, it grew so big that when the pandemic opened up and all the local venues closed down because of quarantining, they went global and we went virtual. And I had been retired at the time, and the managing director, who I have known for, going on 10 years, he hollered and he said, I got something for you. I said, what? And he said, okay, here's what it is. So that's when they were expanding, and I was the first ambassador that joined up with your partnerships. The whole purpose is to get businesses here in the States, small to medium network businesses, brick and mortar and online business and home-based businesses, to bring them together. Because, for an example, until you and I connected, I didn't know where you live. I didn't know what, it's odd, as connected as we are on social media. I have talked to people in my southeast corner of my state that don't even know something exists 20 miles away. They don't have a clue about that business over there. Yep. And that's my goal. I want to bring these people together. I want them to introduce, because one of the aspects of proper networking is that you help your fellow business owner. We don't want to lose small businesses. Right. So if you can refer Johnny over here, who's a dry cleaner, and Johnny can refer you, who's an auto mechanic, or I can refer somebody over here who's a website developer or a social media manager or a business strategist. That's what I do. I help you get out there in front of people. It's the best job in the whole world. You know, but that's the whole purpose behind networking. It's not always about putting dollars in your pocket. It's about helping Joe over here who's struggling, because if we don't support each other, small business is gonna go away.
Yeah.
We have to support each other.
Yeah, it's more important than it's ever been. That's for sure. Now, are your partnerships, are those virtual meetings, virtual calls, weekly?
Well, here in the States, yes. I am, I'll be very honest, I'm very jealous because in the UK, in all the areas where they have ambassadors all over, and that includes Scotland and Wales, they are having face-to-face meetings in venues, and mostly there are restaurants or golf club or golf courses or auditoriums. But these people are not charging your partnerships because they know if they can bring in all these people, it's a sort of advertisement.
Yeah.
If they choose to order a drink or a meal, they're receiving benefits from it, money from it.
Right.
So it's a way of them helping their fellow business stay active and known. I can't get diddly squat done around here. I just can't. I wished I could answer this question. I wished I knew why networking was so closed here. It's almost, I grew up in the Ozarks, so it's almost like the good old boy network.
Mm-hmm.
I get that you need to support local businesses, and
Right.
I'm all for that. But local business doesn't mean in your 500 population town. Local business can be within a 100-mile radius or a 200-mile radius. And that's the problem at the moment that I'm having people understand. And I get that you want to support your local downtown businesses. But again, the fact of the matter is that's not, if you're being honest, that's not how the consumer is shopping these days. The consumer's going to Amazon and Walmart.com and QVC and Chewy.com. Why? Better prices, convenience, and ease of ordering. And in many cases, depending on how wise that shopper is, free shipping, which as a small business, if you learn how to do that properly, you don't have to pay for that shipping. So the small business owner these days are just not being open-minded enough, and they're leaving dollars on the table. And it can affect that local print shop down on Main Street that's hurting and has lost 20% revenue over the last couple of years. If they were to have online presence and show off and advertise and market a little about what they do,
right,
they probably could increase their sales by, it's hard to say, but I could almost convince them they could increase revenue by 10 to 30%. If not each month, each year. And where every dollar counts in these days in this market, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the message needs to get out there and clear that, again, in the last 2-3 years at the most, business has changed, and we need to be more open about it. So that's what networking and your partnerships is all about. My goal is to connect all businesses up here, whether it's in my local area or in my state or in my nearby states, or I can even connect somebody in New York with somebody in Arizona or Idaho or Washington State.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bring us closer together. And in fact, here's how it works. When I first joined up with your partnerships, I was on a call in South Africa. And one of the people I met reached out to me the next day in a message. And he said, I have a farm-based app and I'm trying to introduce into the States. Can you help me? Well, I previously used to work with county governments. So I reached out to my state and hooked him up with the Economic Development Company
Right.
group. And they in turn had a conversation with him. They weren't sure if they could help within Iowa, but they didn't say no. But then they in turn hooked him up with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And within 6 or 8 weeks, he signed a contract for $750,000. Now, who that was with, I don't know. But he did message me and he showed me it was a contract for $750,000. That was almost 2 years ago. Just in the last 2 months, he's messaged me. He has been contacted by IBM. He's been contacted by MIT.
Mm-hmm.
He's been contacted with a software development company that's very interested in trying to further promote this app that he's doing. So, and that all came from a conversation I had and giving him an email and a phone number. That's it. That gentleman has gone on, and I just referred him today to another startup that's got some seeds that they're trying to sell, and the whole mission of this program is to help poverty and hunger. That's the whole purpose behind it. So when the seed company popped up today, I thought, oh, that would be very good with this gentleman. So I hooked them up, and they're now in conversation together. That's the beauty of networking. That's what I do, and that's what I want everybody to understand. It's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
Takes an hour a week at most.
Well, how can the listeners help you?
If they want to learn more, I want people to be excited and to learn more how they can get involved in networking. As I said, it doesn't take much time. So they can reach me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not well used here in the States. But they can reach me out on LinkedIn, and that would be lowercase name, B as in boy, J as in John, Stevens, Stephen's, or using Facebook, they can reach me through Goosebump Moments by BJ.
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, I will get that in the show notes. I appreciate your time today.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is a copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.